So this is my Inktober Art Challenge for 2025. I succeeded in doing a drawing or a painting or some sort of creation every day for the month of October, and I wanted to share that. I used this box and covered it with some of the scraps that I used in my pieces as the holder for it, kind of like the sketchbook. So this is day 31, and it's award. And I was doing kind of an Art Deco style bronze metal sort of thing made out of watercolor. Day 30 is vacant, and I don't know, I had this idea of kind of the circle representing the person who is vacant. And the swirls around it is kind of life happening around it, but they're kind of feeling off to the side. So that was that. There's the back of it. So it was made out of tissue paper, and I sewed on that button. So day 29 is lesson, and I took a a workshop with a woman who was talking about Persian art, and she talked about kind of the things that she had done in her practice, and it was using cloth, and this vine is a type of symbolism in the Persian culture, and she gave us materials to be able to do our own. So this is kind of what I came up with, putting in some of her symbolism, but then creating some of my own as well. And I did some sewing. You can see on the back of that, I did some sewing with it as well. Day 28 is skeletal. And this was just on an encyclopedia page, and I did a sketch of a deer skeleton that I have. So just playing around with that. So day 27 is onion, and I thought of it as like peeling away the onion. So I made this like little tiny, I don't know what you'd call it, I guess a little tiny booklet. And so you can open it up. It's called Rethinking Memory. And then you kind of unfurl the pages, and then it has pictures coming out of it. It has a piece that you can lift up. So it has all kinds of different things. And I kind of created a poem with it too. So it's Rethinking Memory, Sharing Sunshine, Examine Love. So just a simple poem as well. So, and that was onion. So day 26 is puzzling. And as I've been working, I've been listening to an audiobook. And the audiobook is a mystery by Louise Penny. And it's one of her Inspector Gamache mysteries. And it's set in a monastery. And so these are monks in the monastery, and there's a murder, and they find this document on the murder victim. So, I was just kind of thinking about that, and puzzling is kind of solving the mystery. This quote says, while Gamache wanted very much to solve the crime, he didn't want to lose his soul in the process. He suspected that there were enough lost souls already. So the writing in the audiobook, yeah, it's just beautiful. So I wanted to kind of tribute to that. Day 25 is Inferno, and I was looking at kind of like Greek mythology and creatures in the underworld. So this creature is, it's called a Manticorus, and it's kind of like a half man, half beast kind of creature. This is, I was just looking at different imagery of Greek mythology and kind of put that together. So Day 24 is Rowdy. I always like to have some sort of Day of the Dead imagery in my work. So this was the Day of the Dead, kind of a rowdy party, a lot of fun to do. So then I created a piece that I did for 2 days. And this was both for day 22, which is Button, and day 23, which is Firefly. So I decided to create a piece that was a buttons made into a firefly. I also did this where I used yarn in it and glued that in. So it was just a fun experimental piece, and I did it on kind of like a piece of wood panel. So it's a little bit larger than the rest of my work, but this was 2 days worth. So so this is day 21, and that's Blast. And it is just kind of this blast of papers and, different, what do you call this, glitter, I guess, and all this different things. So I just had fun with it and experimented, like something was blasted. This was also fun. Day 20 is Rivals. And I was just thinking of who's rival to each other. And so I came up with Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd. So, and what I did was I just copied a cartoon cell, but I did it in gouache, which is kind of like a opaque watercolor. It's very much like watercolor, but it comes out more opaque, as you can see. And that was a lot of fun to do. Day 19 is Arctic. This is a watercolor, and I just did an iceberg, and there's a seagull there, and there's a polar bear in the water. So just kind of giving it this Arctic feel to it. Day 18 is Deal, and I did a portrait of Robert Johnson, who is an old blues man who died very young, but he was said to have made a deal with the devil to create his music. And, he has been well respected by other musicians, since then. And so this was, just kind of based on some photos of him, but I wanted to give it this kind of old feel to it. So that was fun. Day 17 is Ornate. And this is the mural that's at Notre Dame. And now I can't remember what it's called. Something like Jesus is Risen or something. I really should know this. My husband's an alum there, and I've seen this many times. But anyway, this is kind of an ornate mural that I wanted to depict, and that's Jesus. And he, the nickname for this is Touchdown Jesus, because you can see this in the stadium, and it looks like Jesus is saying touchdown. So that's that. Okay, so day 16 is Blunder, and I was thinking about the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. I looked at different imagery of it, and then I just kind of created my own. I also used different materials for each one of them. So this is bubble wrap, but originally I had it on the other side where the bubbles were, but it didn't really work very well, so I turned it over. This is on kind of a lacy thing. And this is on sort of like more of a tinfoil sort of thing. So yeah, just kind of making it up as I went along, but it's a lot of fun to do. Day 15 is Ragged, and I thought of Raggedy Ann. Those in my era know this. This, a doll. And, at first I started drawing it, and I was like, what is the big deal about this doll? It's a rag doll. But as I started painting it, I just felt like this, overwhelming like love for this doll. So yeah, you know, it's just kind of ingrained in me. So that's a Raggedy Ann. All right, day 14, trunk. I thought of a trunk of a tree. You know, just kind of playing around with the composition and how it was. And I got some inspiration for the background, you know, the side stuff from like looking at a neighbor's mailbox. And so you never know where you're going to get some, you know, inspiration. So this one was a lot of fun. This was day 13 is drink. And I thought about a hummingbird taking a drink out of a flower. And I created this out of tissue paper. So I first painted just a, you know, a board, you know, like a, you know, a piece of thick board. And then I started gluing down, and I made a drawing, and then I glued down the tissue paper to form this. And yeah, it turned out pretty okay. So this is day 12, and it's shredded. What I did is I just took a bunch of shredded paper from our shredding machine and just glued it down on top of something else and added some things to it. And, you know, it was just an experiment. So it's shredded paper for shredded. So day 11 is sting. And I happened to get stung this summer while I was walking my dog. And I thought, you know, like getting stung, it's kind of like, you know, having scars. You know, you know where you were, you know, each time you got stung, you know, you have stories about it. So I looked back at the times I've gotten stung. I might have gotten stung more than this. I don't know. But these are the ones that I remember. So I have the first one was in 1976 when I was little. And then there's two in 2009. I got stung twice that summer, or summer and fall. And then just this past summer. So my story is about that. Day 10 is sweep. I was just thinking about a sweeping landscape. And you'll see the other one is this is kind of a yin and yang. Like the other one, actually, I'll just show you the other one. The other one was day 9 was heavy. So I did like thick paint. I was doing these elephants. You know, I had a lot of heavy paint. I had a lot of fun with that, but I wanted to go the opposite with this one. And I actually masked off some of this so that it looked like it was like being brushed on, like this landscape was being brushed on. And then that's done with watercolors and more thin paint, of course. So kind of opposites from each other. So day 10 and then day 9 and day 8. This is reckless. And I was just thinking about water splashing against rocks. I sort of did some masking on this. I'm not sure if this was exactly what I was thinking about, but I think it works for it, you know, that it is reckless. It's not exactly what I was thinking, but yeah, just water splashing on rocks, you know, kind of on the coast. Day 7 was starfish. This is definitely more of like a process one than anything, you know. I wanted to do like kind of starfish, sort of like who is that artist? MC Escher, that does where he kind of repeated things over and over again. And if I did this in the true MC Escher style, I would have the negative space. So the positive space is the starfish. The negative space around it would also be in starfish form. But I didn't get that detailed. So I created the starfish. I masked them all out. Then I did this background, and then I took off the mask, and then I did the starfish themselves. There's, you know, the background, it's darker to light, and the foreground, the starfish themselves are dark to light this way. So kind of I don't know. I was just playing around with the process on this one. This is day 6, and this is Pierce. And I decided to kind of create this collage using different ways of piercing. You can see on the back, I did a lot of, kind of like a lot of sewing on it. And the interesting thing about this is that I didn't use any glue to do this. So everything that you see is on there through the sewing. So I'm piercing through the paper. Day 5 is deer. Just a group of deer, and I wanted it to look like it was like sort of in this field, maybe in the fog, you know, kind of very ethereal. So yeah, that was good. I like it. Actually, I like it better like that than that. That one I think I'd rather take out. I think I like it better like that. But anyway, that was a lot of fun to do. Okay, this was good. This was fun. This is day 4, and it's murky. And I had this, I don't know, I had this idea of like this murky water with a rubber duck swimming in it. So, yeah, this was, yeah. So I put a lot of stuff in there and splattered and did all kinds of things. And then I did this rubber ducky, and I have kind of a reflection of him in the water. Okay, day 3. I didn't show this one, but kind of sort of a political thing. And I'm not going to even say, but this is 2 people in politics. And I did a take on the Jack and Jill went up the hill, and then they fell down and broke their crown. So you can probably guess who they are. But anyway, that's that. Day 2 is weave. This was just fun practice. You can see the back. I just wove different things through a piece of paper that I had painted first, and just had a lot of fun with it. Just, experimentation. And day 1 was mustache. And I was thinking about Salvador Dali, the surrealist artist, and he had this kind that kind of like was very pointy and turned upward. And I don't know, he was really into that mustache. He's a very interesting person. So I did my own take on his portrait on that. So there it is. Thanks so much.